I was noticing that.
You were noticing I was talking too much and not working?
Yes.
Oh, well, why aren't you jumping in here rolling some cookies, Mrs. Kenny?
Oh, I didn't want to interfere with.
You didn't want to interfere, huh?
Yeah, because then you blame me when they don't turn out.
Well, that's why I want you to help.
I know.
So that when one goes wrong, it's your fault.
I realize that. I'm not dumb. I may be old, but I'm not dumb.
Next up, we're a day later. We went to the wine tasting yesterday. It was wonderful. Everything was delicious. And now we have woken up from that nice big meal, all of that wine. We have gotten a beautiful brunch and we're ready to keep going. So we have our King Arthur gluten-free sugar cookie mix that we're going to try next. And we're going to try the drop cookie version. So instead of rolling them out, cutting them out, we're just gonna try the drop cookies. This is a mix. We're kind of going for quick, easy, get them out, get them going, get them tried. That's what we're gonna do. So we have our 1/2 cup of butter. It doesn't specify whether it wants salted or unsalted. I'm going with salted. Hopefully that's the right choice. Now, well, I know there's unsalted in there, but I thought we would go with the unsalted. Okay. Yeah, you can shout out if you want. They like to hear from you. Okay. Nani's in the background telling me she has unsalted. And of course, I would never, ever imagine you would not have both kinds of butter in your fridge. Now, the only difference with the drop cookies compared to the rolled out pressed cookies is that you need to add a teaspoon of baking powder into the dry mix. So we have our baking powder here, and let's get these mixed up and going. And I think I'm just gonna add the baking powder right into this bag and shake it up a little bit and incorporate it.
Good idea.
Thank you. I'm innovative. You like the way I think?
Yes, because you think like me.
Yes.
Sometimes.
When I have good ideas, I think like you. When I have bad ideas, I don't think like you, right?
You got the picture.
Teaspoon of baking powder. We're gonna put it right in this bag and mix it up if I don't spill it everywhere first.
Shortening measure.
Oh. Okay, initial impressions are that this is pretty dry. Hopefully it starts coming together. And I know you have to kind of let the gluten-free flour absorb some of this liquid a little bit, but it seems a little more dry than what one would assume something would come out successfully. But we're gonna just keep going. Okay, I also see now where I didn't read all the way through, I was supposed to use 10 tablespoons of butter, not 8. So that's probably why it looks so dry. I need a little more butter, so hold on, I'll be right back. We have our 2 tablespoons, extra tablespoons of butter. We have it softened, and we'll get it in here. And Nani, tell them what you said.
What did I say?
You said, you goofball. You called me a goofball, and then you said that's okay. That I did this.
It's okay because I do that all the time.
Yeah. So I think like you.
Well, we've been saying that for years.
Yes. Just a big old blockhead. Yeah?
Yeah, what are you gonna do? You're stuck with me.
It's true. You're my cross to bear.
Yeah, we all
I'm
have
yours.
Very true.
Our crosses are a little mixed up. Ours are pretty bottom heavy.
Yeah, because there's a lot of food involved. In both
Yes.
our crosses.
This thing has a mind of its own. Holy moly. All right, there we go. It's starting to come together though. There it is. That's what we're looking for.
I put it at the same time.
All right. That looks much more like the texture we're going for. Now, while our oven is preheating to 350, we're supposed to scoop some spoonfuls of dough out, roll them in sugar, and then put on an ungreased cookie sheet. So that's what we're gonna do. All right, I was too busy yakking and forgot to flatten these. You're supposed to actually flatten them to a 1/4 inch thick after you've rolled it, and then you're supposed to let it rest for 15 minutes, probably to hydrate all of the flour. So by the time the other cookies come out that we hurriedly threw in there, as Nani and I are actually having a conversation about not planning things through and just rushing through and getting something done, it turns out I just did that because I was too busy talking. So we are going to see the difference in what happens with these cookies when...
It's an experiment.
Yes, it is an experiment. And now you get to see the results of Group A, which we did not let rest and we did not flatten, and Group B, which we are flattening and letting rest. So we'll pretend I did this on purpose so that you can see the differences. That sounds way better, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I can always justify everything.
These are the ones that were not done. We're not rested and we're not flattened. And now we're going to put the flattened, rested ones in.
Are those the ones to taste?
Yes, after they cool, we will taste them, and we'll also taste these ones. We have to taste both. So, gents.
We used to have these Hoot Owl sales the first weekend in February. It was like a Thursday. You go down there and you get all these. I mean, I got this most beautiful suede winter coat.
Oh.
For $69. Even back then, that was a buy.
Okay. I think these are cooled enough. We'll do a side-by-side comparison. Okay, Mrs. Kenny, here are your cookies.
Shall I wait till you get yours?
No, you could try yours first and then I'll tell what I think. That's the one that we didn't let rest and that we didn't flatten. And that's a sugar cookie.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
This seems a little dry for some reason.
Okay.
It's much better.
That one is much better? Okay, so the ones that we flattened, which, you know, if you would have told me, okay, we flattened one and cooked it for the same amount of time that we left one in a heap without flattening, I would have said, well, obviously the one that we didn't flatten should be more moist and gooier in the center.
But that's not true because you didn't let this one rest for 15 minutes, so the hydration did not take place.
Yes. There you go. You took the words right out of my mouth.
Well, naturally.
So, okay, the one that we let rest and cooked as or baked as we should have. What do you think about that compared to a regular sugar cookie? Or on its own? What are your opinions?
I think it's perfect.
Okay. Can you tell that it's gluten-free?
No, I can't.
Okay. You think it tastes pretty similar?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. I'll try it out. Yeah, the hydration, it sounds like clearly makes a difference. I'll give it a try and see. So here's the one I'm trying that we didn't. Let's get this rested cookie out of the way. Here's the one that we didn't let rest. Here's what it looks like inside. You know, it's just a tiny bit for me, but not terribly dry. I like the middle of it. It's still a little it's done in the middle, but it still has a little bit of that kind of give or chew. Now let's try the one that we did let rest. There is the inside of that. They smell very good. They smell just like a regular sugar cookie. Oh. Yeah, I would agree. Letting it rest is the right choice, but honestly, the chocolate chip cookies, you could tell a big difference. You could tell those were gluten-free. The flavor was good. The texture was very different. It wasn't what you would, I guess, come to expect for a chocolate chip cookie. And if you're used to gluten-free products, then that probably would have been great, but you definitely would know that it was gluten-free. If you handed me this sugar cookie, did not tell me that it was gluten-free, I wouldn't know the difference.
No, I didn't. No, and I agree, because the chocolate chip did have that sort of. Was the chocolate chip, since I was not here when you made them, were they the same manufacturer?
No. Different manufacturer.
That may have been the problem, too.
Right. Tori is going to try the sugar cookies next. And you have to try this one first, and then this one.
Okay. I like this one.
Okay.
It doesn't have that, like, weird texture. Just a regular sugar cookie.
So it tastes like pretty much a regular sugar cookie to you?
Yeah.
Okay, now try this one and tell us if there's any difference.
Why did you make a regular set and a gluten-free set?
Maybe.
Okay. This one also doesn't have the texture. It tastes less sugary. That's really about it.
Okay, so you think they're pretty similar, but that one tastes less sugary than the other one.
Correct.
Okay. So they're actually both gluten-free King Arthur sugar cookies. They're from the exact same batch of mix. The first one that you tried, the instructions say to flatten it to 1/4 inch and let it rest before you put it in. We didn't do that. We just dropped it straight on, rolled it in sugar, dropped it straight on, threw it in there, realized the mistake, and did it for the second round. So they're the exact same cookie, just one, the flat one has been flattened and rested, and the other one hasn't. But would you even know that that is gluten-free? Okay.
I like the puffy ones.
You like the puffy ones better? Wow. Okay. So Nani and I said we liked the flat ones better, and which is what we followed the instructions with, and you like the ones where we didn't follow the instructions, the puffy ones better. Huh. Very neat. Just goes to show everyone's preferences are different. Even if you don't do what you're supposed to do, somebody else might like the way you did it. Tell us about your family.
Yes, I was going to tell you about my family in Italy. And I had 2 aunts. My father came here when he was 15, and the rest of the family stayed in Italy. And the 2 aunts up in northern Italy, Turin, they've each had restaurants. And this is standing in front of one of the restaurants there. And I, 2 of the aunts there, and it just so happened my mother was visiting. She's in the whole picture. This is 1962, and a very interesting time. So I still like going back to Italy and meeting them. I unfortunately only met one of the aunts by the time I got there, but I still am in touch with them, and looking forward to seeing them again.
Yeah. Now, this one had a restaurant there, her and her little Vespa.
Yes.
And you were telling me about the things she used to do to get her ingredients.
Well, this aunt, she was in her 80s when I met her, and she would go in the Alps. They were just outside the Alps, and they had a place up there, and she would go on the streams that are very rocky. She'd get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and she'd go trout fishing, and then she'd come home and she'd run around and she'd be mushroom hunting. And her son took the Vespa away from her when she was 80 years old, and she said that's what made her get old.
Okay.
But she would go gallivanting all around Italy. And if, for anyone that's been to Italy, they will know that Italian drivers are crazy.